I never expected my journey of self-transformation to spill beyond the boundaries of my own life. I thought parallel lives were simply inner maps, glimpses of who I could be. But one ordinary morning, it hit me. Growth isn't a solitary voyage, it's a pebble dropped into a pond, sending ripples outward in every direction. It started with a seemingly trivial exchange. I was in line at my favorite coffee shop, taking a break from workday pressures, sketchbook in hand. I'd been practicing a new habit, offering genuine compliments instead of observing from behind my pen. As I handed my credit card to the barista, I paused. Instead of a curt, "Thank you," I looked her in the eye and said, "I love the way you organize those syrups. It's both artful and efficient." Her surprised smile was genuine and immediate. "Thank you," she said softly. "I've been working on that." Then she turned and complimented the next customer's sweater, passing along a small spark of warmth. At first, I dismissed it as trivial. But later that day, I received a message from a friend, Clara, thanking me for a compliment I'd given weeks ago about her presentation style. She said that small encouragement had given her the confidence to pitch a new idea at work, one that landed her a promotion. My offhand remark had become a catalyst for her success. It was the first clear sign of the ripple effect. My inner shifts, becoming more open, generous, and attentive, began to reshape my external world in ways I never could have predicted. I sat at my desk, notebook open, heart pounding. Until now, I'd measured progress by my own standards. New habits formed, resistance faced, momentum stirred. But this was different. My choices were echoing through the lives of others, taking on a life of their own. From that moment on, I began to pay closer attention to the subtle waves of influence radiating from my actions. I found that every decision I made, from showing up as my authentic self in a meeting to sending a thoughtful note to someone who inspired me, gained weight and volume as it traveled outward. One afternoon, I was flipping through my journal and came across a routine entry about the value of persistent creativity. Inspired, I copied a paragraph into a beautifully formatted digital card and sent it to my friend Samuel, an aspiring writer plagued by self-doubt. "Remember, your words have power. Keep writing, even when it's hard." I didn't expect much of a response. He'd always been private about his struggles. But that evening, my phone buzzed with a message. "Thank you. I submitted my short story to a contest today. I never would have done it without your encouragement." A week later, he called to say his story had been shortlisted. He was elated, almost trembling. My simple act of faith had galvanized him to take a risk that reshaped his sense of possibility. At work, I began to integrate the habits I'd cultivated in my personal life. Vulnerability, active listening, genuine curiosity into every interaction. During a team meeting, I shared my recent struggle with procrastination and how I'd overcome it by breaking projects into micro-tasks and celebrating small wins. My admission prompted others to open up. Colleagues who rarely spoke began to share their own challenges. We brainstormed solutions together, created accountability partnerships, and transformed the team dynamic from one of guarded professionalism to collaborative support. Productivity rose, but more importantly, trust deepened. Outside of work, I volunteered at a local community center to lead a simple creative writing workshop for teens. I expected perhaps 5 or 6 participants. But word had spread, maybe through someone who saw my post on social media or heard from a friend of a friend, and by the time I arrived, over 20 teenagers filled the room, brimming with nervous excitement. I guided them through a short exercise, writing a 1-paragraph story about a moment of courage. The room crackled with energy as they scribbled, shared, and celebrated each other's efforts. One shy teen, barely raising her eyes, read aloud a vivid description of standing up to a bully. The applause that followed seemed to ignite something in her eyes: pride, hope, possibility. At the end, a mother approached me, tears in her eyes. "My daughter hasn't found her voice until today," she whispered. "Thank you for giving her that gift." I walked home in the golden afternoon light, awestruck. My inner work, my commitment to authenticity, encouragement, and presence had grown into a joyful, living thing spreading through my community. These stories felt like serendipity, but they weren't. Ripples follow principles as real as gravity. One intent, an unfiltered desire to uplift, to share, to connect. Each ripple begins with clear intention, a heartfelt compliment, a genuine share, an act of service. 2. Consistency. Ripples accumulate. A one-off compliment warms a single heart. A habit of positivity reshapes an entire ecosystem of relationships. 3. Visibility. Ripples need a medium. By showing up online, in meetings, in community spaces, I provided channels through which my energy could travel. 4. Receptivity. Change moves easiest where there's openness. When others receive with gratitude, they pass it along. When they resist, the ripple stalls. My job was to keep the flow gentle and genuine, never forced. Months of small acts built momentum. One crisp evening, our team hosted an impromptu ideas night. Colleagues shared personal passion projects in a relaxed, open forum. The event was so electric that leadership decided to allocate resources for employees to pursue passion initiatives monthly. A culture shift was underway at our company because I dared to be transparent about my journey, and others followed suit. Simultaneously, the teens from the writing workshop formed a club, meeting weekly to write and critique each other's work. They asked me to help mentor them regularly. Parents began volunteering, local authors donated books, and soon a mini literary festival sprouted in our neighborhood. My ripple had become a wave, co-shaping the world around me. As momentum grew, I faced a new question. With great resonance comes responsibility. The energy I sent out didn't belong to me, it belonged to the collective. I had to practice stewardship, tending the ripples with care, listening to feedback, ensuring the wave didn't become a tide that washed over others. I organized check-ins, asking colleagues if they felt comfortable sharing projects, checking with students if the workshop was serving them, consulting with community leaders on how to scale in a sustainable, inclusive way. Growth couldn't be extractive. It had to be co-creative. I began measuring impact differently, not by likes or promotions, but by the growth of relationships, the deepening of trust, the birth of new ideas, and the joy of collective creation. A ripple's power lies in its capacity to multiply, to inspire someone else to send a ripple of their own. One of the most beautiful moments came when a colleague, Maya, whom I had encouraged to pitch new ideas, invited me to her own project showcase. She presented a community-focused app designed to help seniors connect with volunteers for neighborhood errands. As I watched her confidently demo the app, I realized this was no longer just my journey. It was ours, a network of parallel selves, each inspiring the next, weaving a tapestry of transformation far richer than any single thread. Ripples remind us that we are never isolated. Every action, no matter how small, has the potential to influence the lives of others in profound ways. When we align our inner selves with integrity and generosity, we spark a chain reaction that extends beyond what we can see or imagine. So I invite you, pay attention to your ripples. Notice the smiles, the calls, the thank you notes that follow your choices. Be mindful of the responsibility that comes with resonance. Nurture it, co-create with it. Because in the grand tapestry of parallel lives, our greatest achievement isn't finding the perfect path for ourselves. It's weaving our threads together to form something far greater than any of us alone. Thank you for exploring the ripple effect with me. Subscribe to Voidlore Nexus and share in the comments. What ripple have you sent into the world? And how has it come back to you? Let's continue this co-creative journey, one ripple at a time.